Today I'm working on my 2018 Tesla Model 3, and the issue with it is that I got a strange whistling noise coming from this front wheel. So first let's get it up in the air and let's look at it and see what's going on with it. Now I'll tell you what I found, and I've got a picture of that. Is there was a piece of wood. What happened is I come over some railroad tracks, then I heard a whistling sound like a belt slip. This don't have any belts on it. Now there's a special tool that Tesla sends with their cars. It's to remove these center caps, and they go in and hook in, and then you just pull it out. Now it's not necessary to have this special tool. You can use a pick, especially a good crooked pick, and get in there as well. I think this works just as well as their special tool. But if you got any picks, one with a good hook, you're good. At first I thought because it had a hole in it that there may be something that you had to depin, but no, it's just because this is too soft. You'll snap these if you don't watch out. The hole's right there, so it really doesn't matter. But it's a regular center cap, just like any of the rest of them. It just uses this to cover up our lug nuts. Now our lug nuts are 21. Now I've already pulled the wood out. Little old small piece was still left in there, but I want to see what damage it done, or may have done. Because if it pushed this backing plate into it, which, I mean, they've got a beefy backing plate on this. I don't think this wheel can be, well, maybe it can be turned. I don't really hear any noise now. We'll go ahead and pull this off and take a look at it. Now, if you look, it's got a 4-piston system. So it's got some beepy brakes on it. This being an electric car and regenerative power, the brakes probably last me from now on. They'll last probably 100,000 miles or better. Now our socket is an E18. We've got 2 of them. And there's really not a big difference between these and any other brakes that I've seen. What I'm doing here is I'm nudging the pads back just a little. You don't get on the pads, stay on the metal. Just so that when I go to reassemble it, it won't be too hard to put back on. We're not going to move them much. We just want a little bit of wiggle room there. That way when we go to put them back on, the pads won't be so tight that we have to fight it. Makes it easier to put the bolts back in. See if we can get a little GoPro action going on here. And there's a good look at our 2 spline bolts going through. What we're doing here is we're removing the 2 bolts that actually mount the caliper. Baby's long, huh? Okay, I do want to remove a 10 up here so our hose is not binding us up, giving us any issue. Now if you notice so far, everything's typically the same as it would be on any of your other vehicles. People get scared about it. It's an electric car and it's got something exotic going on. Now it does have high performance brakes, stuff like that, but it is a higher end car. This is not cheap. For what I gave for it, it's a used car. I gave, according to Kelley Blue Book, I give $6,000 to $8,000 below Kelley Blue Book. So I think I come out pretty good on it. Now you do want to suspend this and not just have it hanging off our brake line. So you find you something good to loop it around, hold it until we can get access to look and see what's going on and how much damage we might have done. What do you know? There it is. There's our culprit. Now I will hang this up just in case it does drop down. How that got wedged up in there, I don't know. Crazy, huh? So it was a pretty good piece of wood that actually come up. I wasn't going to take this off, and I thought, well, I want to see what the backing plate looks like, and we'll look at the backing plate next. But hey, I think we're in pretty good shape there, knowing what we got going on. Now you look at what it had to go through to get to this point. And there's not a whole lot of space to get that up through there. It had to come through here and break off in there. Is that not crazy? Crazy, crazy, I tell you. See where it's been, where it was cooking? Well, I'm glad to see that that's all the issue was for this time. You know, when you buy something and the best thing you can do is when you buy something and you don't know, it scares you, right? So, I mean, it's just like this. I've not done a whole lot of work on a Tesla, but I've worked on every other car over the last 40 years. So it's the same thing. Parts is expensive no matter what you buy. Now you can see where it actually bent this section in just a little. We can probably tweak it out some, but I don't think that it'd be necessary because it's not actually touching anything there and it can't get into it. I think just the wood rolling around in it is actually what gives us our biggest issue. But you can see this clear shot where our two bolts go when we go to reassemble it. We've got the wood out. Now I noticed here you got a little bit of burn mark there where that wood actually burned into it. I don't see any real damage. You can see where it come through here, but this actually didn't get pushed in. Now I took a close look at our pads, and where it actually lodged in, it didn't actually do any damage to our pads. But I will tell you that Tesla says that you have to replace the bolts anytime you remove them. We'll put her back together, and then when the new bolts come in, we'll replace it with the new bolts. So if you're replacing the pads with the new bolt. But you notice it sounded consistent and smooth. If you've got any kind of bind or corrosion inside your threads, it's going to make you torque off, so you need to be aware of that. We're going to torque this at 69.3. And our small 10mm bolt is going to be Now we're ready to reinstall our wheel and torque these at 130 foot-pounds. Center cap. All we need to do now is pump our brakes up, take it for a drive. Well, apparently that's took care of all our noise, and we're good for a few more miles. Make sure to confirm our fix. Remember, this is not warranty. You'll have to pay out of pocket or do it yourself. It's normal brakes just like anything else, other than you'll have to replace the bolts. And anything else y'all can think of, leave me a comment and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And if you got any questions, or if you got any ideas to help somebody else or to help me, drop it in the comments. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.